Hello soulmates, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and if you are new to this channel, you're welcome. In this tutorial I'll be teaching you how to cut and sew this simple but beautiful gown that I made in less than an hour. So this tutorial is a beginners friendly tutorial, so if you're a beginner, trust me, you'll be able to cut and sew this beautiful dress. So if this is a tutorial you're interested in, please like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get right into the tutorial. For this tutorial, you will need 2 yards of your fabric. You can either use an Ankara fabric, a plain fabric like a crepe, duchess, or any fabric of your choice. Let's make a rough sketch of this gown. So this gown is a short gown and it is above the knee. So don't make it to be on your knee, make it above your knee. So any measurement you are taking, make sure it is above the knee. So I'm doing the rough sketch of this gown. So for me, I want to use a 37 inches. So I'll be using 7 inches for the ruffles at the lower part, and for this plain upper part I'll be using 30. So altogether now I have 37. And please ensure this gown length is above your knee. So guys, let's cut. So this is my fabric, it is folded into two. You can cut the back and the front together at once, but I want to cut the front separate and the back separate. It is still the same thing, but I just want to cut it separate. So now I'm marking, that's my starting point from that line. So you know it is 30 inches, but I'm using 31 because I will use half inch for the joining at the lower part and 1 inch for the joining at the upper part. Now you locate your armhole length. So my armhole length is 7.5. Sorry, that's my bust length. So that's my bust length, which is 9.5. My waist, which is 15. Then you count down. I counted 8 inches down to locate my hip length. So that's how I locate my hip length. So now this part here is my armhole length. So 7.5 is my armhole length, 9.5 is my bust length, my waist is 15.5, then my hip is about 24 inches here. So I'm just rolling a straight line across this part. I hope you can see this clearly. So at the waist, you don't need to rule any line at the waist, so just leave the waist like that. So now I will go ahead and make my armhole. So just draw your normal armhole. I will be fast about this. I'm just trying to locate my armhole. So we'll be making a little bit adjustment to this armhole. So I'll be showing you now. So after you are done with this armhole, at the shoulder area, just go inward by 1 inch. Go inward by 1 inch. Then you just connect this from that part down to this armhole. As you see the way I blended it in. So that's your new armhole. So now it's time to measure our other measurements. So my bust divided by 4, then I added half inch for ease allowance, half inch for ease allowance, and 1 inch for my sewing allowance. So that's 1.5. So at the hip area, just move over to the hip area. So at this hip area, measure your hip divided by 4. Mine is 9. Then you can either add 1 or 2 is allowance. So 1 inch or 2 inches is allowance. Then you add your sewing allowance. So if you are using 2 inches is allowance, that will be 3. Just add additional 3 there. That is 2 inches for the ease allowance and 1 inch for the sewing allowance. So when you are done, you just connect this line like this. You connect it downward like this. As you can see that the line is bent, it is slant, so you just connect it like that. So this is what we have. Then I'll just go ahead and cut this out. So after I was done cutting, this is what I have. Then I'm using the front, the first one I cut, to also cut another one. Like I said, you can just cut the two at once to save time, or you can just cut it individually like I did. So any method you want to use, just make sure you cut two of that. So make sure you cut two. So now let's work on the neckline. So for the neckline, for the front neckline, I'm using 3.5 inches wide. I'm using 3.5 inches wide by 3.5 inches deep. So that is what I'm using. So any neckline you are using, make sure it is wide enough because there's no zipper at the back of this dress. Make sure it is wide enough. So I'm using 3.5 inches wide like this by 3.5 inches deep. So now I'll go ahead and cut this. So I'll connect it with my French curve like this. Then I will cut this. So I'll go ahead to do my shoulder slope now. So just 1 inch at this part. Then I'll just blend it to the neckline. So that's my shoulder slope. So I'll go ahead and cut this. I'm cutting it on both the front and the back. This is because you know the back neckline is lower, so it won't affect that. So I'll remove one of these, then I will work on the back neckline now. So as we know that the back neckline is a low back, so depending on how low you want it, so I used 8 for mine. So if you know that 8 inches is not deep enough, you can just use 10 inches. So if the 8 is not low enough, you can just use 10 inches. Then you just draw a U neckline. So I want to use another French cuff to connect this so that I can get the perfect neckline. It's a U neckline, so I want to get the perfect U neckline. So after you are done measuring, just go ahead and cut the back neckline. So I'll go ahead and open it up to see if I still need to make any adjustment on this neckline. So this is what I have. So I noticed that it is not wide at the lower part area. So I'll go ahead now, fold this again, then I'll just do a little bit of trimming. Please don't make the neckline too wide, like does not affect your dress. So just make sure it is wide enough. So at this part here, I notice it is not wide enough, so I'll just go ahead and just trim a little bit, like you see the way I'm doing. So this is what I have. Then I think I've gotten the perfect U neckline I want, so this is okay. So now let's go over to the strap at the back. So for the strap at the back, so I'm using 3.5 inches wide, and the length of this strap is about 40 inches. So this is 3.5 inches wide. So I'll go ahead and just sew this. I'll go ahead and sew it, then I'll turn it, then I'll be back. So this is what I have after I was done turning. So I want to place this at the back neckline. So we have to insert it before we use the bias tape to turn this. So initially I measured 4 inches for the length where I will start attaching the strap, this belt, but later I noticed it was too low, so I used 2 inches. So just measure 2.5 inches from this shoulder, 2.5 inches, then you place it from the 2.5 inches, so it will get to 3.5 inches because this strap is 1 inch wide. So like I said, just measure 2.5 from this shoulder, from the tip of the shoulder downward. So from that 2.5, you will place the rope from that 2.5 inches downward. So when you place the rope there, so it will be from 2.5 to 3.5, that is 2.5 to 3.5. So the rope will be staying in between that 2.5 and 3.5. So that was what I later did, but yeah, I was placing it on 4 inches and it was too low. As you can see that the belt is close to the lower part of this back neckline. It is very low, so it has to move up, and it is 2.5 inches, please. So after you've pinned this down, you go ahead and you join the shoulder first before you use your bias tape to turn it. So I'm measuring the length of that rope, and it is about 45 inches, though the rope was too long for me, but you can just use about 35 inches sha. So you go ahead and join this part here with 1/2 inch. So after joining it at the shoulder, this is what I have. So I will now use this bias tape to turn the neckline, the back and the front. So after I was done turning, this is what I have. So I'm just tying this bow. So I'll just tie this bow. So when you are tying this bow, make sure it is not tight, so that it is not like this. As you can see, I have to release this so that it can balance, like it can relax. So make sure it is loosed and it is not tight. So this is what the bow is looking like for now. So this is what I have here. So guys, when I was hemming the neckline, I've also went ahead to hem the armhole. So now I'll go ahead and just sew the side with my 1 inch sewing allowance. So this is what I have after sewing. So the next thing to do now is to measure what we have here. So I have 21 on one side, so that means round I have 42 inches. So I'll be cutting 42 inches times 3. So this ruffles right here, it is 43 It's about 46 inches. Each one is 46 inches. Then I'm using three of these. So for the length is, it is 8.5. You know, our ruffles length is 7. So I added 1 inch for the hemming at the lower part and half inch for the joining. So I added half inch for the joining, 1 inch for the hemming. So altogether I have 8.5. So, and I joined this in a round form. So I'll be fixing it all round. So after I was done fixing the ruffles, so this is what the gown looks like, and we are done with this gown. So it is very simple and very easy to make, and it is perfect for this holiday season where you just want to wear something simple, maybe inside, or you just want to go out. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.